What is going on, guys? Welcome to another video. Now this one is just going to be gameplay of the new LMG, the PML 556. I played around in multiplayer, have it unedited in any way, so at least from start to finish you're going to be seeing some raw gameplay, just kind of show you how the gun is. This is going to be an 8 attachment build because, you know, if you guys watch my previous video on my PML review, the recoil is hard, so I wanted to run an 8 attachment build to at least get the most efficiency out of this weapon. I couldn't run the usual 5 attachments that I usually do. But if anything, I also want to just overlay me having some commentary on the whole Battlefield and Call of Duty drama that's been happening lately. If you are not a part of like the Twitter or X community or even Reddit, you know, there's a lot of debates, a lot of conversations of happening where, you know, Call of Duty is going to beat Battlefield, Battlefield is going to beat Call of Duty, it's going to be the new Call of Duty killer. You know, hey, you know, Call of Duty players stay out of Battlefield, or Battlefield players, you suck, play like Call of Duty. I want to talk about all that social issue drama that is happening between the player base and how I frankly think it's completely ridiculous. But if anything, guys, let's get started with the video. I hope you enjoy the gameplay and the commentary. Alright, so let's start with the social issues on Battlefield versus Call of Duty and all that drama right now. So we're going to start with this. Battlefield is going to be a COD killer, quote unquote, right? Both players are actually in agreement to this. COD players want a better Call of Duty or a better game to switch off from Call of Duty, and there's nothing wrong with that. And Battlefield players have been in second place for so long that it would be nice, you know, to see their game topple an FPS giant for the first time. Like, it's a really good underdog story that where they finally get a chance to be in the limelight. And I also agree with the sentiment on both sides, is that I want Battlefield to do well, even if it might end up toppling COD in regards to player count and sales, because what this is going to do, guys, it's gonna drive Call of Duty to truly listen to the majority of their player base. It's gonna have them be able to bring permanent solutions that is completely dissatisfying the player experience right now in Call of Duty. Like, we already see it with them trying to implement TPM 2.0 and secure boot requirements in their anti-cheat. Why? It's probably because Battlefield announced it in their anti-cheat. Heck, their anti-cheat, Javelin, sounds cooler than Ricochet also. And another thing that's plaguing Call of Duty and just completely ruining their player experience is the SBMM, the EOMM experience and all of that. Unfortunately though, Battlefield is showing that there is a level of SBMM. To the extent of how hard SBMM is going to be tightening the player base, we're not too sure yet. Only time can tell. But here's one thing I do want to say about SBMM and EMMM, right? It is built on player data and retention. So as much as it's hated by both player bases, this is still advantageous yet manipulative business tactic that is aimed to keep players in the game. So you may not necessarily enjoy the game right as you're playing, but it is keeping players hooked. And because of that increased playtime, that's where it increases the likelihood chances of them spending money in the bundle shop, or if Battlefield is going to have a bundle store as well. It's a very shady tactic for sure, but I think for individuals as a player, they should also have this knowledge that this is what they're trying to do. So yes, you can play the game as much as you want. You can stay hooked on it, but just understand the reason why this function is being used. And if you want to counter that, don't buy anything from the bundle shop. Easier said than done, I agree, but that's something that we have to work on as a player base. You want the companies to change. You want them to do things different. They're only going to change when the money dries up. If you are constantly giving them money, what's the point of them trying to change? And the next debate that I want to talk about is the fear of Battlefield players will receive that their game will be played like how COD is. They think because of the influx of Call of Duty players, there's going to be more focused on just fast-paced, high kills, non-objective gameplay that essentially spawns a playing culture of not caring about the win in the match, but more so only caring about being on the top of the scoreboard in kills. And I agree with this gripe that is coming from the Battlefield community, because Battlefield is played completely different. I feel like Battlefield players have more of camaraderie and community and a teamwork based objective gameplay. Now for the Call of Duty players that's calling it bot gameplay, like, oh, you're only running the objectives because you can't get kills. If that may be the reason, or if it's not, you know, all players should have the ability to play how they want to play the game. And if Call of Duty players are coming in and the influx of content creators and streamers heavily influencing both the current and the new gen player base, there is a possible chance that Battlefield can change into a Call of Duty style. But in my opinion, I think the devs are very good at keeping Battlefield the way it is. Sure, they added additional movements here and there that is very similar to Call of Duty, but you look at the core gameplay, guys, it still feels like a Battlefield game. And going back to like high kill gameplay, right? I agree on that, because over the years, COD has experienced the change of how players play in the game. Being an OG COD player myself, playing since Call of Duty 2 on the PS2, players back then truly cared more about running the objectives and winning the match rather than trying to be the one with the most kills. You figured adding a mode like Battle Royale would actually shift players into actually playing more strategical and putting more focus on the win rather than racking up the most kills. But in my opinion, guys, I think we can put some of that blame on the streamers and content creators who solely focus on farming their views, engagement, and growing their following strictly from high kill gameplay. But I also want to play devil's advocate, guys, because remember, the views and growth and following that these guys are getting is not just from people blindly following and subscribing. It's because they enjoy the high kill content. So as much as we get mad that streamers and content creators are pushing it out, these are the things that players are consuming in regards to content. But I digress, guys. The streamer and content creator ruining Call of Duty is going to be saved for another video. But here's what I think to summarize all of this, okay? Call of Duty will never be Battlefield, and Battlefield would never be Call of Duty. They both have their own personalities and respected player base that are large enough to keep the personality of these games separate. Because true Call of Duty players will tire of Battlefield and go back to COD, and Battlefield players will enjoy the game the way they want it to be played. And if some miracle happens where Battlefield truly brings a better player experience that COD will disappear into the mist, so be it. I feel like as long as a good majority of the player bases, both Call of Duty or Battlefield, can finally sit down, stop, and play a genuinely good game, because that's what video games are meant for. Video games are a space where everyone can escape into a different world and have fun and relax. And you know, if it may be with Battlefield, so be it. If it's with Call of Duty, so be it. If it's still separate, both Call of Duty and Battlefield, and we continue this extended cycle, hey, so be it. I just hope that the hype that Battlefield is bringing, the conflict that Battlefield is bringing of it being possibly a COD killer, I welcome that. I think a lot of Call of Duty players should welcome that, because that is going to push Activision to create a better Call of Duty game. But if anything, guys, I hope you enjoyed this commentary. If you did enjoy the content, please drop a like on the video. It's going to help it tremendously in the algorithm. And if you want to stay for other future videos that I go to nerd out and commentary on Call of Duty and Battlefield and whatnot, please drop a sub to the channel. We'd love to see you here for the next video, okay? As always, stay pure, stay noble, and hashtag bring back honest gaming. Later, guys.